Pocket hole joinery has been a game changer for woodworking. Back when I started out 50 years ago, this technique didn't even exist. Want to know how easy it is to pocket holes now? Well, stick around and I'll show you how a pocket hole jig can help even beginners create strong professional quality joints with little to no practice. Pocket hole joinery was originally created for the cabinet industry, kitchen cabinets and things like that. And what they needed is a good way to join the pieces of the face frames together. Now, the face frames are usually made of 1x2s, which aren't very big pieces, and they are put together with a lot of butt joints, which are traditionally the worst joints you can do in woodworking. So if we look at furniture, especially going back in time, a lot of furniture was assembled with mortise and tenon joints. That's time consuming to do though. Nowadays, a lot of it's done with dowel joints, which essentially is a modification of a mortise and tenon. It's effective, it works, but compared to what we're looking at, which is pocket holes, it's still time consuming. So pocket holes works out really perfectly for cabinetry making because it's strong, it's easy to do, it's precise, and it's quick. So it's a great combination. Of course, the fasteners, the screws themselves, are hidden. If you look at a cabinet, who sticks their head inside the cabinet to look at the back side of the face frame to see where the fasteners are? Nobody, right? So we end up with a really good joints that are strong, effective, and actually easy to do. So let's look at how to do them. Now I'm going to use 1x2 here. This is just 1x2 pine, and which means it's 3/4 of an inch by 1.5 inches. So it's not really that big, but we still want to get 2 fasteners in there. We don't want just one, because if we put one in, it's possible for it to twist. By putting 2 in, we eliminate that possibility. We always want to use at least 2 fasteners anytime we're doing pocket hole joinery. Now, if we look on the top of the drilling block here, we see we have 3 bushings, and there's lines from the center of those bushings to the edge, which help us with alignment if we put a alignment mark on the piece, okay? We don't necessarily have to do that. We can eyeball this because, again, it's going to be hidden. No one's really going to see it. Putting 2 fasteners into that 1.5 inches, now we can choose to use the 2 bushings here that are a little farther apart, or the ones that are closer together. We're probably better off using the ones that are closer together. It gives us a little more meat on the sides that's left intact so that we don't have to worry about splitting, all right? So I'm just going to align the piece up, eyeballing it, like I said, and clamp it down. Now, I've already set up my pocket hole jig, and there's a separate video that shows how to do those settings. So with this locked in place, I can go ahead and drill my holes. And I'm using a special drill bit it's a step drill bit that comes with it, and I've got a collar mounted on here as a drill stop to keep it from going too far. Again, that's something that's shown in that setup video. Okay, so here's our piece with the 2 holes drilled in. Notice the holes do not come out the bottom side. They're just in this piece to line the screws. So now we can take this and attach it to, say, this piece right here. And some people try and freehand this. I don't recommend that. You really should always use a clamp when you're putting pocket hole joints together. And the reason I say that is because you don't want it coming apart on you. You don't want it shifting. You don't want your pieces moving over. So I would normally use a clamp, and I would also take a square and use that to line it up, or I will use a corner clamp to line my pieces. Either one will work. The other thing I'm doing is I'm pushing down both pieces to my workbench to make sure the front surface is flush. It turns out my 2 pieces of wood here are just barely different, maybe a 32nd or 64th of an inch different in height. So I don't care if that difference shows up on the inside where nobody's going to see it, but I definitely don't want it to show up on the outside. You always work with a long driver bit when you're installing these, mostly because working in difficult places, or sometimes it's just the angle, so we can get the body of the tool away from the wood, and we just run the 2 screws in. The screw will bottom out, and we heard the impact driver go into impact mode there, so we know that we're done. And there we have it. There's our completed joint. We have a flush on this side. We have no gaps on this side. And we have a strong, resilient joint.